Good afternoon, Team Lincolnshire Ambassadors, and thank you for joining us. I'm Karen Seal, Principal Officer for Place and Investment at Lincolnshire County Council, and many of you all know that I'm part of Team Lincolnshire HQ. And I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on shaping the future of Team Lincolnshire together. We're really delighted that so many of you have been able to join us. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. You've joined the presentation listening through your computer's speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the telephone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. This may provide clearer audio. As a participant today, you have joined in listen-only mode. You do, though, have the opportunity to submit text questions and comments to today's presenters by typing them in the questions pane on the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We'll collect these and address them during the QA session at the very end. If you wish, there is the option to ask your question directly to the presenters. To do this, please click the Raise Your Hand button, which is located on the control panel. We will invite you to ask your question and unmute your microphone so everyone can hear. Any questions which remain unanswered at the end of the session will be picked up afterwards. So, on to today's webinar. We will take you on a journey, an exciting journey of the past, present and future of the Team Lincolnshire Ambassador Programme. It will be presented to you by your fellow Team Lincolnshire Ambassadors, who are Councillor Colin Davey, Executive Councillor for Economy in Place, Simon Morris, Associate Director at Leeds and Chair of the Team Lincolnshire Advisory Group, and John McKay, Director of Ritz McKay and also a member of the Team Lincolnshire Advisory Group, followed by Samantha Harrison, Head of Economic Development at Lincolnshire County Council, and myself, Karen Seal, Principal Officer at Lincolnshire County Council. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker for today's webinar. Over to you, Councillor Colin Davey. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event. This is a really important day for Team Lincolnshire and for all of us as ambassadors and champions of Greater Lincolnshire. Today is all about the four things that you can see in front of you, celebrating our successes. And while we've certainly been successful, we have built on our momentum as a group of ambassadors since 2017. We're going to talk about our strategy for the future and your role and our role as ambassadors for Team Lincolnshire. Next slide, please. This next slide is entitled Celebrating Our Successes. And as you can see, it's full of amazing images of you as our ambassadors at events with press cuttings, etc. Team Lincolnshire was founded in November of 2017, and today we're about to celebrate our third birthday. Initially, this started as a concept from the small number of businesses attending MIPIM, the global property show held in Cannes, and using the hashtag Team Lincolnshire on social media to gain traction for the Greater Lincolnshire area. And as I said, we have grown from strength to strength. We've now got 115 members across a range of sectors, and I want to see more members. So as ambassadors, we should be out there recruiting more people to join, because the greater the voice, the greater impact we have nationally and internationally and with government. And what I want to do is talk about some of the successes we've had. We brought the first apart hotel to Lincoln, an amazing achievement. We've been working together and collaborating on the South Lincolnshire Food Enterprise Zone. And I'm very proud to say one of our ambassadors, Piggott and Crone, have been appointed to market that site nationally and internationally. We support each other and we support fellow businesses who are wanting to look at Lincolnshire as a place of opportunity. We supported major schemes together, such as the Lincoln Eastern Bypass. And that message to government is very important if we want to ensure that we get the funding we need to move our economy forward. And of course, we've been promoting Greater Lincolnshire far and wide, bringing investment and development to the area. And, you know, for those ambassadors that were with me in China last year, banging the drum for investment in Greater Lincolnshire, I think that was a successful indication of how far we have come together as a team. And that is what it's about. This is a team, it is a partnership. It is a partnership where the public sector, local councils like Lincolnshire County Council, support the private sector, enabling them, facilitating them to make the right decisions and the right investments for their businesses to grow in Lincolnshire and in our local economy. I am very, very proud of the work we've done together. I'm a huge champion of Team Lincolnshire, and I always will be. And I believe that our best years are yet to come. And despite the problems of the last few years, despite the problems of COVID and all the impacts that's caused, and despite the challenges of the global economy changing, I think that Lincolnshire is absolutely well placed to take advantage of the future. People are now relocating from the big cities and are looking for a higher quality of life, and Lincolnshire can offer that in buckets and spades. We've got amazing schools, amazing infrastructure and networks now, and we're investing more in the technology and the digital network necessary for the modern economy that we are going to champion. So at this point, I think I'd like to thank you again for attending today. We have truly put Greater Lincolnshire on the map, and I want to thank every single one of you personally from my heart for all the work you've put in to make sure that we carry the message forward and that Team Lincolnshire succeeds in the future. Can I now say, next slide, please? And I would now like to introduce Simon Morris from Gleeds.
Thanks, Colin. Good afternoon, everybody. I don't think it would be an overstatement to say that it's been a challenging year. But what we've seen is that it's one that has brought out the best in our members and demonstrated where Team Lincolnshire can really add value. As a response to the challenges presented by coronavirus, we created Team Lincolnshire Cares to show our support to Greater Lincolnshire businesses, and the response was incredible. We hosted 25 virtual Team Lincolnshire Cares coffee clubs. They covered a wide range of topics, with Team Lincolnshire members hosting from COVID in the construction industry, health and well-being for individuals and teams, and more focused subjects such as the Invest Gainsborough initiative. These were very well received and continue. We thought they may be a short-term solution to allow people to make contact across the region, but they continue to go from strength to strength. Additionally, this webinar today is our fifth. All been done jointly with Business Lincolnshire. The previous four have been open to not just Team Lincolnshire members, but any businesses to stimulate discussions and opportunities for growth. For example, green construction, urban design in a coastal context, and finance for recovery were previous topics. Attendance has been fantastic. There were nearly 60 at one of the webinars, which is a testament to the value that people place on these. And in the background, we've generated a number of 10, I think, case studies of positive business outcomes that have been facilitated by Team Lincolnshire and the ambassadors. We put these on the website and promoted these via social media to further showcase the value that Greater Lincolnshire can offer to itself, but also as an opportunity for people to come from outside and invest. In fact, the social media presence has grown traction further. And for those that have asked, yes, we've got a LinkedIn account now as well as Twitter. The Team Lincolnshire Advisory Group do want to build on this momentum of Team Lincolnshire Cares and create a clearly defined focus for Team Lincolnshire. So let's take a look at where Team Lincolnshire is at right now. Next slide, please. You can see from the slide that it's showing 109 members. I think we may have more than 115 now. It's growing that quickly. But importantly, there is a spread right across the region, across Greater Lincolnshire. All parts of the region are covered. Indeed, there are a significant number of our members and our ambassadors from outside of the region who recognise the value of Lincolnshire and the investment in Lincolnshire. It truly is now a membership that covers the region, which you'll have all heard on the radio station, from the Humber to the Wash, and as I say, even beyond the boundaries of Greater Lincolnshire. Next slide, please. And in addition, our membership represents a broad range of sectors, as you can see from this slide. Agri-tech is an important industry sector for our region, but we have a thriving energy sector, strong presence in the creative industries. Universities and colleges figure highly in the region, and of course the engineering, construction and professional service businesses that work across all of these. Team Lincolnshire is built on all of these and more, and we encourage entrance into the ambassador programme from across any sector. Next slide, please. We never forget that we are a broad region, and whilst we are called Team Lincolnshire, our area is Greater Lincolnshire, that includes North and North East Lincolnshire, including that important area of the region of the Humber Bank. And of course, we've been recently joined by Rutland. It truly is a significant portion of the country that are united. Next slide, please. So Team Lincolnshire, it is defined there as an independent and autonomous body. It notes that we're funded through the members, which is a vital part of it, but also Lincolnshire County Council and the Greater Lincolnshire Local Enterprise Partnership. But I think a better way to describe that is it's facilitated by these bodies. We're independent of these, although actively supported. Team Lincolnshire HQ consists of a strategic advisory group, which I'm fortunate enough to be the chair of. And we as a group, and the group consists of people from a number of the sectors that I mentioned earlier, creative industries, professional services, property, construction, housing, a whole range. And we provide strategic advice and direction to the operational side of the Team Lincolnshire HQ. You'll see from that snapshot of the structure where a number of the key individuals within the organisations that facilitate Team Lincolnshire sit. Samantha Harrison, Karen Seal are on the call today, and you'll see that there's a number of people who are active in delivering the requirements and objectives of Team Lincolnshire. Next slide, please. And at this moment, I'd like to hand over to my co-advisory group member, John McKay.
Thank you, Simon. Part of the building blocks, even before we came into the unfortunate area of COVID, was the strategic advisory group was formed to try and demonstrate, articulate a Team Lincolnshire value proposition, building on the successes or draw from the past successes, and building on the needs and opportunities of the present. We wanted to actually create a common voice that looked to the future together. So really, what was really important here was about creating a common narrative by which everyone has got the ability to speak in the right way to the right audience. So through clear visions and values, members' charter, an investor strategy and a delivery plan was really important elements. The first two elements in these bullet points, a clear vision and values, and the members' charter was the area I'm going to focus on now, about creating a Team Lincolnshire narrative. The investor strategy and the delivery plan will be more looked at with regards to Samantha and Karen. Next slide, please. So really what was quite important was to create an all-encompassing series of pillars, communication pillars. And at the very heart of that was the essence of who Team Lincolnshire are and what they do. And the whole essence of everything is about together we are greater. So it was important to create pillars such as who we are, our vision, our values, our generic proposition statement, a Team Lincolnshire members charter, and also, quite importantly, what is the value proposition for our two target audiences? One is investors and the other is Greater Lincolnshire businesses. Encompassing all of that is this communication is all about to us as well as members. Next slide, please. So one of the pillars, I'm not going to read everything out because you will be able to get this whole presentation downloaded to you, but it's really important to define who we are. And Team Lincolnshire is a powerful independent partnership of ambitious, forward-thinking private and public sector organisations. They're united by a common goal of championing a stronger local economy. The rest of the text you can read through because I don't want to take too much time in this, but this is an important area. If we've got a common narrative, we're able to articulate concisely, effectively, and compelling messages to our target audiences, no matter what sector we're from or what sector we're targeting. Next slide, please. The vision. It's important to define a very clear, concise vision. And how it is articulated here is to enable Greater Lincolnshire to flourish and become an even more desirable place to live, learn, work and invest. It's very important to have a single, clear proposition that you can hang your hat on. The values that we've got here have come to the fore so much through this COVID period and also through the first 2-3 years. So really what we're now doing is taking the last 2 to 3 years, this period of COVID, and actually now shaping a platform to spring forward. Next slide, please. And the charter. From the values, the charters have emerged, a charter has emerged. And that charter is really quite important because what the charter does, it enables everyone to understand how we conduct ourselves, how we operate, what's expected, and what's expected of people that we're communicating as well. And I think this talks to not just us as members, but to us dealing with the private and public sectors, what public sectors are expecting of us and what we're expecting of them. But also as well, it's a promise if we actually promote a potential investor, everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet, whether it be a planning officer, whether it be a potential funder. It's all about everyone signing up to this charter and actually having a common flag to fly behind. Next slide, please. And again, the two really single value propositions to each of the audiences. This one's targeting Greater Lincolnshire businesses, so it's really important that there's a common narrative to all of our businesses. That we're part of a dynamic partnership of local organisations working together to grow our businesses, share their expertise, promote Greater Lincolnshire and improve the quality of life for our communities. I'll let you read the rest of that in your own time because there's a lot still to get through. Next slide, please. And again, it's the same proposition, well, a different proposition for potential investors. Next slide, please. And my last slide is, if you click through again, please, thank you. It's really important, but the list is endless. We've gained a lot, we're starting to gain traction, and really what we need to do now is build on that momentum. And as you can see here, this is not an endless list of things, but there's a lot more we can do. But these are the 5 key things that we're looking to really target to promote our profile, raise our profile. So really, that is a good starting point. Next slide, please. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to Samantha, and thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everybody. So we've heard what Team Lincolnshire stands for, and we have a plan for raising our profile. So we really need to understand, how do we realise our vision? The ambassadorial talent that we have and the financial resources that we have to hand, we need to give ourselves a challenge, and where can we focus our efforts best to add value and make our economy stronger? So we've devised a 2-year investor development strategy, and it has 5 key objectives which align with our ambitions for growth and investment. I can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. What I propose to do is go through each one in turn and just give you a little bit of detail. So our first objective is to attract business investment into the construction sector, both commercial and residential. We have town deal funding opportunities across Greater Lincolnshire. We have major housing allocations in our local plans. Our market towns are becoming very desirable, particularly post-COVID. We have the largest enterprise zone in the country on the Southampton Bank. So our focus is about how we work with our partners to develop viable sites and articulate these opportunities to investors, businesses and future residents. Next slide, please. The second objective is to attract business investment into the food manufacturing sector, particularly in relation to automation and robotics. We have 3 food enterprise zones across the county, and we have desires to make sure that we are recognised as the UK's food valley. We're progressing plans for Freeport status, and academically, we are the UK and Europe's leading region for automation and robotics research. So how do we achieve this? Well, I'm proud to say that we are one of 19 areas within the UK that has secured resource support from the Department of International Trade to help develop an investment proposition for agri-tech. This will be based on the South Lincolnshire Food Enterprise Zone, and it means that we are going to be classed as a high potential opportunity area, and they will help us develop our proposition, but also help us promote it nationally via the department and through its outposts and embassies, which is fantastic news. We also want to promote our assets as a UK location for leading food technology businesses and their supply chains, and we want to seek investment in speculative units from UK-based investors. Next slide, please. Our third area is to attract office-based businesses looking to relocate. We have great relocation opportunities across Greater Lincolnshire and a high number of town fringe office developments with parking and access to local amenities. And we all recognise that we have the space, we have high quality living environments, we're well connected, we're central within the UK, and we have affordable, high quality of life to offer investors. So moving forward, we want to work with our strategic agencies, including the Government Relocation Agency. And what we're trying to do is see whether we can secure a government department to relocate to Lincolnshire. Ideally, DEFRA would be superb. It would fit in with our strategy, but we're really open to having these conversations. We want to raise the profile of Lincolnshire's office facilities to businesses and intermediaries. And now with the current climate, it might give businesses the opportunity to want to move to a safe, secure, connected environment that we can offer. If I move on to the next slide, please. Our fourth objective is to attract investment that benefits all, and that includes yourselves. We're keen to invest in Greater Lincolnshire through developing robust propositions. I've mentioned about the agri-tech proposition, but we're wanting to develop these further in manufacturing, renewables, office relocation, residential, to name but a few. We want to give our investors a clear understanding of why they should choose Lincolnshire. We also want to open up opportunities for new contracts to be won by Lincolnshire businesses. Through working with yourselves, we want to make introductions to investors, decision makers, and help inform policy. And we want to give you the platform to do this by broadening what we do with Team Lincolnshire. I'll move on to the next slide, please. Our final objective is to demonstrate that we are welcoming and we want to provide a comprehensive soft landing package to investors. We want to work with yourselves as ambassadors to ensure that investors have a positive welcome that is tailored, account managed, and that meets their requirements, be it virtual tenancy, managed workspace, new build, whatever. We will produce clear economic data relating to the business sector and future supply chain opportunities. We'll work with funders, training organisations, universities and utility providers to make sure that they are prepared and responsive to investor needs. We'll also develop a package of support that will really showcase our region's assets. For example, the National Centre for Food Manufacturing, CATCH, our offshore renewable energy catapult. We really want to pull these together in a portfolio that we can all use. And overall, we can make powerful connections. Through Team Lincolnshire, we can provide introductions to a range of professional services. And these could include recruitment, accounting, legal services, residential property services. We've got a wide range of members and we need to utilise your support and your services. Furthermore, there are some fantastic business networks across the county and we want to make sure that people have clear introductions into these, and also make sure people are aware of the offers and the range of support that's available through the Business Lincolnshire Growth Hub. So I've run through the objectives, and now if I move on to the next slide, please. What I do want to outline, and if we could put all of the elements on, that's lovely, thank you. What I want to do is say that whilst it looks very focused, we have had to be clear that in terms of our resource, what we want to do. So we've mentioned the 5 objectives, but we want to say that you all have a role to play in delivering these. But we wanted to get a view for the future. We wanted to say that from 2022, our suggestions are that we focus on renewable energy, carbon reduction, visitor economy, health and care, and digital technology. So it's just to say that whilst we're working on our current objectives, we will be looking to develop things further, and we look forward to working with you to develop these. Thank you. I'll hand over to now my colleague Karen, who'll explain how we'll deliver the objectives in detail.
Next slide, please, Marta. Thank you, Samantha. So I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to lay the groundwork for those future years and how together we're going to do this. So we're going to open up dialogue with our investors and stakeholders, particularly around the Humber Estuary and offshore wind. We're going to engage with all the geographical area of the LEP region, including North and North East Lincolnshire and Rutland. And we're going to make sure we really tailor events to meet those new emerging themes, such as the offshore wind OAM, our ambitions for manufacturing offshore, the petrochemical industry, and decarbonisation. We want to talk to all the local partners to capture the full Greater Lincolnshire complement of assets for when we're talking to investors. And we really want to increase the profile of Team Lincolnshire, not just across the LEP boundary areas, but across all sectors. Next slide, please. So we need you to come on board with us. We want you to advise, champion, and deliver these objectives. We're going to create a detailed work programme, and here are some of the things that we're going to do. So we're going to promote the food enterprise zones and connect potential investors and supply chains to key stakeholders. Samantha's already mentioned the amazing bid that we've got funding for around high potential opportunity. We're going to hold showcase briefings and produce promotional collateral on the food sector. We want you to be true ambassadors and promote Lincolnshire to your clients and anyone that you're working with. We want to hold events and focus investment briefings around our key drivers, such as the town deals and modern methods of construction. And we want to make introductions between current and new investors, developers and stakeholders. And that's a two-way process, you introducing them to us and us introducing them to you. Next slide, please. We want to improve the relationship for you, the companies, and the council's procurement processes. So we're looking at setting up a webinar to include all the local councils' procurement teams so that you can gain an understanding of their processes and the frameworks that they use. We want to map Team Lincolnshire members' skills, knowledge and connections to deliver the strategy. We know that you've got a lot of knowledge and expertise and experience, and we want to know what your strengths are. We want to identify which ones of you are willing to take on that ambassadorial role. For LEP and the Lincolnshire County Council and other local district councils, we hold a lot of ministerial roundtables and investment meetings. We want to know which ones of you would like to come on board and represent us at those meetings. We really want to understand the opportunities we have to promote our investment messages. Many of you will know about MIPIM, but there's many other international, regional and local events that we can attend. We want to go to the right ones at the right time. We're actually going to be representing our area at the Midlands Forum for Growth, which is a virtual conference being undertaken by Midlands Engine in November. And there'll be members of the Ambassador Scheme promoting our region there. We want to share the Team Lincolnshire members' ideas and best practice with stakeholders and partners to develop the investment opportunities. Next slide, please. So how will success be measured? We've come up with these 5 different ways. So these are what we're saying is we feel that we'll be doing really, really well if we've achieved these. So they are around an increase in high quality buildings that enhance the county's built environment. Seeing a growth in the food manufacturing and agri-tech businesses, providing those much needed higher quality jobs. There'll be more office development, potentially following that hybrid model, which will give an amazing increased high street footfall. Investors will rate the relationship with Greater Lincolnshire better than any of our rivals. And you, the Team Lincolnshire members, will see tangible benefits and encourage others to join. One more click, Martha. Thank you. So in order to measure these, we've put in place some key performance indicators, and I'm just going to go through a few of these. So we're asking that Team Lincolnshire achieve 40 business-to-business opportunities from members collaborating together. We want to see direct involvement in influencing or developing investment sites, both commercial and residential, within the region. We want to see you influencing and facilitating 2 investment opportunities within the South Lincolnshire Food Enterprise Zone. We want to see an increase in Team Lincolnshire membership, potential to attract 20 new members, targeting those areas that are underrepresented. And we'd love to see Team Lincolnshire support and create 200 new jobs. Next slide, please. So how can you get involved? You're already doing a lot and we've come such a long way, but we've outlined a few areas here. So we want you to continue to share your good news stories. If you don't tell us about them, we don't know, and we can help you promote them further. We want you to promote Greater Lincolnshire to other businesses and investors and key stakeholders. Shout about how great it is to live, work, learn and invest in our region. Tell us when you're collaborating. If you don't tell us, we don't know. Let us know how we can break down barriers for you. It might be that we put on a webinar to gain feedback on those areas. And whilst I'm talking about webinars and physical events, tell us what your hot topics are. We can put on a webinar around that. The smaller things like hosting Team Lincolnshire Cares Coffee Club. The bigger things like telling us if your company is expanding or relocating in the area. We've got a wealth of support mechanisms through the Greater Lincolnshire Business Lincolnshire Growth Hub. And we can support you with funding advice, skills and recruitment, finding a site and hand-holding you through the planning process. And promoting Team Lincolnshire through social media. Tag us in your posts on LinkedIn and Twitter. Let's get that real ripple effect going. Next slide, please. So that's the end of the formal presentation. It's now time for the question and answer session. I'd like to invite you all to ask any questions regarding what you've heard and seen today. Your thoughts, your suggestions and feedback are all welcome. A reminder, you can submit questions through the questions pane in your attendee control panel, or ask them directly to the presenters by clicking the raise your hand button, again located on the control panel. So who would like to go first? And I'm just going to ask that all presenters put their cameras back on, please, and unmute themselves. Thank you. So I think I'm going to kick off with this first question. I'm already an ambassador. How can I do more to help? And I think, Simon, you would be the perfect person to answer that.
Thanks, Karen. Well, I mentioned I'm fortunate enough to chair the steering group or the strategic advisory group for Team Lincolnshire. And if you feel like you want to shape the direction of Team Lincolnshire, then that's an opportunity to do that. So get in contact with me or Karen or any other members of the team that you see here today, because that would be a great way to get involved.
Thank you, Simon. We've got another question coming from Steve Catney. He said, excellent presentations, really inspirational. One element that limits growth in Lincolnshire is poor internet. Never has that been clearer than since lockdown in March. Yeah, very true, Steve. Will this particular challenges, with the particular challenges we have over the region, how can we achieve a digitally connected Lincolnshire with fast web connections? Who would like to take that one?
I'll have a go, Karen. The County Council's been involved with the On Lincolnshire programme now for a number of years, and to date we've invested over £55 million in improving connectivity. There are a lot of discussions going on at the moment behind the scenes about how we're going to move to the next stage of digital connectivity. So all I can say is watch this space, but you'll not have to watch for long. I'm hoping that we're going to have some announcements out there by the beginning of next year. We are very, very clear that the future is digital, the future is technology, and I want Lincolnshire to be as well connected as any other part of the country. So do my colleagues on the County Council and in all local authorities, and you can rest assured that we will be working together to try and get the best outcomes for businesses. It is now, in my mind, as important as a highways network to move goods around. We've got to have the digital network to move information and services around, and we're absolutely committed to doing all we can to deliver that. And we are having conversations not just with government but also with the private sector about how that can be achieved. So I hope that gives you some optimism.
That's great, thank you, Colin. Okay, next question. Great presentation, says Emma. Thank you. I was optimistic that the creative industries would be included. Do you feel this could be an asset?
Again, I would say absolutely. Creative industries are an absolute asset for Greater Lincolnshire. I'd like to hope that in the future we can build a television and film hub around our marketing opportunity. I think we have great locations for film and television. At the end of the day, we've also got the greatest computer games company in the world based in Lincolnshire, as we all know. Grand Theft Auto and everything was created in North Wycombe by our Rockstar Games. So, you know, we've got a lot going on, but I think there's more that we can do around the creative industry sector. And I know we're having conversations with the universities and education about that. And for young people, they want to see those opportunities in Lincolnshire. They don't want to move away from their amazing county to take them elsewhere. We need to provide the opportunity to embrace those in Lincolnshire. And rest assured, those conversations are also ongoing as well.
John, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking as a creative, we can do all the factual, fiscal, and practical things and create the environment, but it's very much the culture and the creativity that helps define us. I was just speaking to a recent member, Team Lincolnshire ambassador, who's now on the board of Grimsby's Board of Cultural Development. It was really exciting to find out what they're doing. And I think the more we talk and collaborate, the better. But I think going back to the key question is people relocate not just for the factual things, they relocate for the very substance of their soul and what makes them want to stay. So creativity makes Lincolnshire sticky, as far as in my creative world. Thank you.
Fantastic. We've got another question coming from, oh, sorry, Simon, did you want to add?
Sorry, I was just going to add to the point that John made about, he shared a story there. And you know what, as Team Lincolnshire ambassadors, share those stories. We've talked about the creative industries there and the culture of the region. That's very important. But those stories are good to share in forums like this amongst other Team Lincolnshire ambassadors or anybody else who will listen. If we build that conversation, then the creative industries, as well as the more arguably visible industries that we talk about all the time, with construction and engineering, will come to the fore. So I would encourage everybody to do that.
No, I completely agree. So the next question is from Mark Hobson. He said, could you tell us more about the potential of your ports and the impact of Brexit on this opportunity? Well, I'll just say a few bits here. So obviously we've got the potential of free port status, which would be amazing if any of our ports got that. And that's being worked upon at the moment. There's lots of work being done around importing and exporting. And we realise how important our ports are. You know, Immingham is the largest port by tonnage. It has a wealth of opportunities for a lot of sectors. So we are definitely realise the potential. There's also a lot of work going on around Boston Port as well at the moment. Lots of opportunities there. So really, we're very, very well connected when it comes to ports and the, the sea and the access to the markets across the water. Does anybody else want to add anything to that?
I'll just add to that, Karen, that obviously Midlands Engine is very, very positive about the opportunities for the wider region of the ports on the South Bank. And government is also now excited about the opportunities of hydrogen, the hydrogen hub, hydrogen technology project that could easily be based on the South Bank of the Humber too. So going forward, I think there are even more opportunities of connectivity between the South Bank and the rest of the Greater Lincolnshire area and the wider Midlands region. And it's going to be an area of great opportunity. The chair and chief executive of the LEP have been up on the South Bank meeting with businesses over the last few weeks to instill this message that we are one. We are Greater Lincolnshire. They all now sit in the Greater Lincolnshire LEP boundary, and there are going to be, by working together, more opportunities to make the case to government for the strategic infrastructure investment we need to grow the region on a national and international scale.
Fantastic. The next question's from Nick Pettit. Now I'm at Lincoln College, there must be lots of collaborative projects we can work together. The same always comes up with Lincolnshire Chamber. As the Assembly member of the Property and Construction, when can we get together? Well, now, Nick. Yes, definitely. We want to collaborate. So yes, we'll be in touch. Does anyone want to add to that? No, that's what this is all about. We want to collaborate. We want to work with people.
When I mentioned the breadth of sectors in the early part of the presentation, I want to make sure that the universities and colleges were part of that, because they are breeders of collaboration anyway. That's what they're about. So we want to support that and to some extent, Nick, tap into that. So yeah, absolutely up for that.
And I'd just add as well that Lincoln College have a proposal which is part of the Towns Fund bid for Lincoln around a new hospitality, events, arts and training college for the visitor economy sector. And I think that would be a great thing if government were to support that through the Towns bid, because it will have a wider impact across the whole of Greater Lincolnshire.
Yeah, definitely. So another question, I can see some sectors and districts have less membership representation than others. What can I do to help? So I think that's around you guys shouting about the ambassadorial programme to clients, to anyone you're meeting, investors and developers, wherever you are in the region. Yes, there are areas that are less represented than others, and we need to get the message out there, get their businesses involved. You know, for education establishments, you know, when you're working with people and companies and businesses, tell them about us. That's the only way that they're going to learn, because not everyone does know that we exist. Yes, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely, Karen. I mean, the geographic spread is not bad, but it can always be better. I highlighted North and North East Lincolnshire. There is, I think we've got one ambassador in that area of the region. We don't have anybody in Rutland. Rutland is new to the team, as it were, and there are some of the parts of Greater Lincolnshire that, as you've identified, aren't as well represented. It's about talking about it and shouting about it. As ambassadors, that's our role, is to share the good news of what Team Lincolnshire is about, what we've done and what we want to do. And it doesn't just apply to certain locations within the region; it's for the whole region. And so, you know, talk about it.
John?
I think building on that, absolutely. And I think the whole point when we put all of this work together on the branding narrative and having a common voice was that we are 3 years old. We're still a little, we're embryonic. And you got to remember how when Colin said we started from MIPIM, so there was going to be a natural surge from the property and construction. But now we're 3 years old. It's about showing that maturity and actually now building on that momentum and traction. So we've got a great base. I think we've got the best ambassadorial program in the country. There's a lot of people I've heard from outside the region, and this is really quite good from me being a business that has in Nottingham and in Lincoln. I hear lots of really positive comments, and I think we've now got the opportunity to become an exemplar ambassadorial program that really is very, very neutral. and also as well reaching out to the wider Greater Lincolnshire, especially also to Rutland as well, is vitally important, especially with the Humber. Absolutely vitally important that we become very, very holistic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, the good news is, guys, since we did that original slide with 109 members, we actually now do have Rutland Council on board as well, and North and North East Lincolnshire Council. So we've got all the local and unitary authorities all included in our membership. So that's a really good starting point. And we now need each of those bodies to go out and, you know, network with their businesses and tell them about the ambassadorial programme. So a few more questions. Emma,
can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen. It was just to say also to let members know that we're really going to ramp up a strategic campaign to actually promote what Team Lincolnshire is doing. We're putting resources behind the comms and the best practice and really making sure that we get the messages out across the county. So rest assured you will be hearing from us a lot more, but also we'll be singing about the virtues of Lincolnshire. So hopefully we'll reach people through different media mechanisms moving forward.
And I just add that, you know, the strength in the construction and property sector is well known because we've started there at MIPIN, but we obviously have with the food sector. The food and robotics sector is a major national opportunity for the country, and I think that is strong. We're currently doing some work. There's a new tourism commission looking at the visitor economy and the wider messages that will come out of building that as a sector going forward with government. The key message for me is that the more members we have and the more members who are focused in key sector areas, the stronger will be our message, not just locally, but also to government where it really matters. If we want to change our place and shape it for future generations, we together will be the strongest possible voice in getting that over to government. And they love to hear what the private sector is thinking. They don't just want to hear from councillors, they want to hear from you.
So we've got a couple of more questions on the membership side. So Emma said, is the membership from out of county published? No, it actually isn't published, but well, what we do have on the website, we have logos of all our members. So in that respect it is, but I think you're right, Emma. I think we need a list on the website, a clear list of literally these are all our members, and actually highlighting that geographical spread and those out of county. So that is actually one of our action points, that we are going to be doing a lot of development on the website to include all the pillars information, all this information you've seen on our objectives, and a lot of the demographic stuff about the breakdown of the sectors of the membership, so that people can really see how we're made up. Another question from Sue Kirby, who I know is at Rutland Council. So she's put, I'm from Rutland and see the value in this approach, but I face some challenges encouraging others to see the value. Early days though. Would anybody like to comment on that?
I think if I would just like to say because we're really keen to work with Rutland to make sure that your businesses understand the whole range of offers that we've got, including Team Lincolnshire and Business Lincolnshire and our skills offer. So whilst it is early days, I think what we do have to do is get some work with some key individuals, get some best practice case studies, and then start cascading the message across the patch. I think it's a real opportunity. You've got some fantastic businesses there, and we can't wait to work with them. So watch this space.
And I would just add that it's been great to see Rutland join the LEP board, and I think from that work and those discussions we have at board level, I think Rutland will soon see the wide-ranging benefits of not just the LEP membership, but also the opportunities that Team Lincolnshire will give to all the businesses based in Rutland.
And we've already started putting meetings in the diary to meet with, you know, like Sue at Rutland, the North and North East Lincolnshire Council, and all the other district councils, so we can really understand their assets, so that we can then utilise that to promote them when we're talking to investors and through propositions. So yes, that is all part of the plan going forward. Emma has said she's putting myself forward to champion the creative culture in the county. Great, Emma. Yeah, that's what we want to hear.
Excellent.
A message, sorry, not a message, a question from Tim Downing at Highgate and Crow. So, hi guys, I'm very happy to chat with other business in Rutland to let them know how myself and Pygott and Crone have benefited for being members. That's fantastic. Yeah, and that's exactly what we want. Anybody want to add any more to that?
I would just say, Councillor Dave mentioned the South Lincolnshire Food Enterprise Zone and how Pygott and Crone were helping that. It's not just Pygott and Crone, other businesses as part of the Team Lincolnshire Ambassadorial Programme are involved in that and many other initiatives, and Tim will outline those to friends in Rutland, no question about it.
I think also to add to that as well is that there's a word that really shines through, and when you're able to read through the values is there's the word selfless, and I think the principle of that collaboration that Simon just mentioned, there's been a lot of other great examples of selfless collaboration where you're not in it just for yourself, you're in it for the greater, and I use the word very emphatically, the greater good of that person you're speaking with or the region. And that's why the proposition of together we're greater is absolutely fantastic, because it's embedded in the word collaboration and mutual benefit. Thank you.
Okay, another question. How will you monitor against the objectives and measures for success? So I'll start on this one. So we already collect quite a lot of data. Obviously, we've got all the numbers of the membership, so we can clearly see things like the indicator towards, you know, increasing membership and where those members are coming from. We can monitor all of that. We can utilise press releases and things like that, and good news stories. But we are relying on you to tell us who you're collaborating with and which projects you're working on, and how you're helping, you know, with them job creation figures. You know, unless you share that information with us, it's going to be really difficult for us to collect all this information. So yes, there is definitely an onus on the ambassadors as well. Simon?
Yeah, just to come back to the earlier point about, and re-emphasising that point about sharing the news, sharing the knowledge, sharing those success stories, because they will add to those broader measures of success. You know, we want to drive change, but we're not going to do it as a group here on the screen. We're going to do it as a group that is the whole of Team Lincolnshire.
I think also to build on that, I think as Samantha was talking about, there'll be a series of raising our profile. It's not just about raising the profile, but also raising the awareness of how, and make it easy for you to contribute to that data collection as well. So that'll be something that I'd imagine will come through, where we're actually saying, look, this is how and where to put the information, so that it doesn't all come in sporadic. It's actually a bit more controlled and focused, so that we can turn it into KPIs and actually turn into real data that actually adds value. Because I'd imagine if there's a potential investor coming on board and you need to gather data quickly, we want to be able to collate it and present it quickly. Thank you.
Can I jump in there? Also, we have our Team Lincolnshire newsletter, and I think it's the perfect vehicle where we could, on every newsletter, give an update as to where we are, so that we can actually sort of gain that momentum and inspire you, update you on the new jobs that have been created, on new members. So, you know, we will undertake to report that and bring you on that journey and make sure that you're informed.
That's a great idea, Samantha. I've just made a note of that. Okay, we've got no more questions coming in. Is there anybody that would like to make any other questions, feedback, statements before we bring the webinar to a close? Just give people a couple of seconds to see if I can see anything coming in. No, okay. So that brings us actually to the end of this session. So I'd really like to take the opportunity to thank all of our presenters, and a big thank you to all of you, our valued ambassadors, for joining us and being part of the journey of Team Lincolnshire. This is just the start of the next phase of the Ambassador Programme. And through the coming weeks and months, we will start delivering what we have set out in this webinar, and we're all really hoping that you come on board with us. Once you leave the session, you'll receive a survey on the presentation, and we really welcome any feedback, including any suggestions on future topics. You'll also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours, including a link to today's recording and also the presentation slides. We're also going to send all of them out to any members that didn't join us today. If you have any questions or queries, please do not hesitate to contact myself, Karen Seal, on the Team Lincolnshire email address, Team Lincolnshire at lincolnshire.gov.uk. And just one reminder, our next joint free webinar, which is open to all, not just Team Lincolnshire members, is Boston's Pride of Place, Mayflower 2020. And that takes place next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So please keep your diary free. So finally, thank you for joining us. Thank you for everything you're doing and you continue to do. And remember, together, we're greater. Thank you.
Well done, Karen. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you all.